So imagine this filled out. It's going to be incredible.
It's been incredible. It's been a wonderful time. The Copper Box, a very special place for the fans of Rocket League, all because of one moment.
Kato tries to clear. It is almost there. It just hit the floor. Violet Panda puts it a long way, and it's almost there. Justin keeps it alive. Turbo's there. Bounces into the corner. Energy still around. Justin is there for the shot. Justin! This is Rocket League!
Every sport has a greatest moment. A single instance that fans of a given generation can point to as the pinnacle of their story. The Justin buzzer beater at the Season 5 World Championship in London is that moment for Rocket League. The single most spectacular moment of clutch our scene has ever witnessed. Yet, the Justin goal is unique in the landscape of esports' greatest moments, namely in that the team that scored didn't win. Years later, the Justin goal still stands as the greatest moment in the history of the game, which begs the question, what makes a goal better than a championship? To find out, we need to discuss the recipe of what goes into immortalizing a moment of competition. To my understanding, there are 3 ingredients: story, spectacle, and urgency. So, how does the Justin goal satisfy these requirements? Well, to start, story couldn't have been stronger.
In 2017, Europe dominated Rocket League, and 2018 was looking no different. Dignitas arrived in London as the defending RLCS World Champions with back-to-back World Champion Turbo Pulsa headlining. Turbo was the only player to have won multiple world titles. No team had ever repeated, but a win in London would make them a dynasty. Across the pond, NRG had wowed the world with a perfect season, going 7-0 in league play. Seasons 1, 2, and 4 had seen the team or its members eliminated by the second round. Season 3 had been their best performance to date, but I'll give you one guess who they ran into. Everyone knew NRG was good enough to beat the best, but we hadn't seen them do it in front of a crowd, despite being the kings of online. Garrett G and company were effectively underdogs, playing an away game in their rival's very loud house.
Landon had already established itself as an historic event. The raucous crowd had raised the standards for esports audiences everywhere, and it could be argued that that energy gave this particular championship an extra edge of importance. Now, while the crowd was holistically supportive of all the Rocket League teams, the EU home field advantage was obvious and understandable. In fact, prior to Season 5, Dignitas and its members averaged a placement of 2.6 at the World Championships, while Garage and Fireburner had a paltry 6.2 between them. Like, Dignitas averaged a podium finish. The gap between the two teams could not have been wider, at least for the veterans. The unknown variable in this equation was Justin.
Even before he was old enough to play, Justin was on the radar of the competitive scene, bringing the opportunistic NRG swooped in. NRG was eager to shake things up in hopes of improving their LAN performance. Season 5 saw Justin fit right in with the team, the first undefeated season on record. It was impressive, but North American League play was not why Justin was on NRG. Justin was signed to the team to crush Europe. And, well,
because Justin is gonna win it for NRG!
Energy up on top.
NRG will be moving on to the grand final.
Statistics and superstitions held nothing on Justin and crew. NRG was in the grand finals having only dropped 2 games, already their best Worlds performance to date. North American fans had genuine hope for the first time in a year. Their Kings of Online had banished 3 European dragons to the lower bracket, including the Golden Titans of Dignitas. If ever there was a season that could end the curse, surely this was it. But we could only sit, watch, and wonder. When NRG and Dignitas inevitably met again in the finals, it was clear what was on the line. For Dignitas, the chance to do the unthinkable. Back-to-back World Championships, crowning Turbo the 3-time World Champion. For NRG, the culmination of their best season to date, but more importantly, the end of EU's reign and the end of the most potent curse in the scene. The spectacle is, in many senses, the most important ingredient of the recipe. The Justin goal made such waves that it broke into mainstream sports media, famously being tweeted out by ESPN. For these viewers, all they saw was a high-flying player upside down, hitting the ball and scoring, and yet that was enough.
I want to show you this Fireburner 50-50 to start things off then. So the first of what I like to think of as string of miracles in this moment is this 50-50. You can see how late Fireburner jumps. He stays grounded to the last possible moment. This is because Turbo Pulse is trying to get that ball down. Fireburner is trying to keep it up. So he manages to get the angle underneath this ball to send it out to the side. And you can see that point of contact directs it to the side at the curve and creates that amazing bounce that we all know and love that sets up the Justin shot. That is the beauty of Justin's prediction here. He commits to a shot in a situation where most people wouldn't go for the shot. He jumps early with just enough boost to score this goal. Normally people would go for the backboard or look to pass this or keep it high as possible. He confidently goes for that shot, and that's just because it's 0 seconds. He knew he had to score at that moment. And there was such little angle to score on that. He finds that perfect angle just behind K-Dop. And if you look at K-Dop, he was so close to making that save as well. But it was just the fact that Justin sent it behind him that made it impossible for K-Dop to save. Violent Panda, millimeters away from making the save. Everything was perfect about that shot. And that's why it was so unbelievable at the time.
4 seconds left. NRG need this immediately.
4 seconds left. Despite the fact that the game doesn't end until the ball touches the ground, the physical time represented on the clock makes an impression on your psyche. This is important. The less time left for a team to score, the less you, the viewer, believe they could possibly do it. This isn't just a trick of the brain either. If we look at RLCS-X, the longest and most game-filled season on record, in the 6,087 games played in just Europe and North America, teams that dropped the lead in the final 15 seconds only managed to equalize at 0 seconds 4 times. A comeback in this spot, at this scale, with these stakes, had quite simply never happened. 4 seconds. And then 0 seconds. The game doesn't end until the ball touches the ground, and yet every second that passes after the clock stops moving feels unearned.
It's almost there, it just hasn't hit the floor.
For a timeless instance, the game enters a pocket dimension where Rocket League is played without a floor, and every touch must be perfect.
And it's almost there. Justin keeps it alive.
And the longer it stretches, the more unbelievable it becomes. There's a key difference between hope and belief. All North American fans and fans of the game at large hoped NRG would score. They wanted it more than anything, but deep down inside, they didn't believe. It was too much. Moments with this many colliding stories, demanding this much perfection against the most staunch statistical improbability simply didn't happen in real life. And the untested rookie has to bear the pressure without flinching? It was impossible. Which makes this genuinely mind-shattering. This moment superseded the ultimate outcome of the game because it transcended the conceit of the tournament. When you witness the impossible for a moment, the rest of everything stops mattering. Titles and trophies were suddenly entirely secondary because the audience of the Copper Box had witnessed a miracle. When the mind has to confront the manifestation of that which it knows to be impossible, the only conclusion left is magic.
Rocket League fans will soon be filling the Copper Box in unprecedented numbers, and for many, the return to these hallowed grounds brings a nostalgia of how our game was changed forever last time we were here. The Spring Major Champion is the reward awaiting one team at the end of this tournament, but fans can hope for something more. What does it take for a goal to be better than a championship? It takes the shattering of the impossible. In short, it takes a miracle.
Wavepunk.